It was a quiet night at the Walgreens parking lot just after 1 p.m. when the stillness was suddenly shattered by the sound of gunfire. A woman nearby, startled by the sharp cracks of gunshots, turned to see two men lying on the ground between their vehicles, and a distraught woman frantically yelling for help. Emmett Corrigan, born on August 30, 1980, was a dedicated husband and father in his early 30s. During high school, he made a name for himself as an exceptional football player. In 2000, driven by his Christian faith, Emmett even gained experience serving at a church in Brazil. At 23, while attending university, Emmett met Ashley, who was 2 years younger than him. Ashley came from a large family with 6 siblings and was known as the loving eldest sister. However, her childhood was far from easy. At the age of 9, her parents divorced, leaving Ashley to face emotional confusion and financial hardship. The split led to an unstable life as Ashley moved around with her mother, but her family remained deeply rooted in their religious beliefs. Ashley made a secret promise to herself during this time: when she grew up, she would marry, have children, and give them a more stable upbringing than she had experienced. A year after they met, in March 2004, Emmett and Ashley exchanged vows. Their love was strong, and they shared a deep faith in common values. The couple was excited about their future together. In 2005, they welcomed twin daughters, followed shortly by the birth of their first son. By 2008, Emmett had earned his Bachelor of Science degree from university. The family then relocated to Spokane, Washington, where Emmett began pursuing a Juris Doctor degree. However, the move and his decision to attend law school brought significant challenges to a family already facing financial strain. Law school demanded Emmett's full attention, as it felt like a full-time job that required immense dedication and focus. Emmett spent most of his time studying, often staying late into the night before returning home. With their tight budget, Ashley took on the responsibility of caring for their 3 children and also found a part-time job to help make ends meet. Exhausted from the daily demands, Ashley would often fall asleep as soon as she got home. The couple's communication became infrequent, and their time together as a family dwindled. Yet, they both understood that these difficult days were temporary. They believed that once Emmett completed his studies, a brighter future awaited. In 2009, their lives took a significant turn. They welcomed their 4th child, and Emmett graduated from law school. He quickly secured a position at a bankruptcy law firm in Boise, Idaho, prompting another family move. While working hard to establish himself, Emmett also prepared for the bar exam, a task that added to the weight on his shoulders. Meanwhile, Ashley continued to manage all the household responsibilities, just as she always had. Her role in the family was no less important than Emmett's. Not long after their move, Ashley discovered she was pregnant again, this time with a son. Things seemed to be falling into place. Emmett's income was sufficient to support the family, and Ashley, no longer needing to work outside the home, focused on raising the children and managing the household. She even considered getting involved in community service whenever time allowed. As Emmett's career continued to flourish, he began making plans to start his own law firm. As a successful defense attorney, he knew that having his own practice would offer even greater financial rewards. However, the process of establishing his firm was not without its challenges. Emmett needed a capable and reliable partner to help him build the business. Through an introduction, he met Candy, a nearly 40-year-old woman. Candy was also married and had 2 children of her own. She had been looking for a job as a legal assistant after leaving her previous position. Emmett Corrigan was impressed by her charismatic and independent nature, and they quickly developed a strong working relationship. In November 2010, they formalized a partnership, and things initially seemed to be going well. The firm had a capable assistant, and they hired additional staff to help manage the growing workload. It seemed like a win-win situation. With the firm now running smoothly, EMT should have had more time to spend with his family and be with his children. However, Ashley, his wife, knew her husband had ambitious goals and understood that he was even busier now managing the firm on top of everything else. Despite her understanding, Ashley grew increasingly concerned as EMT began coming home later and later. Her instincts told her something wasn't right. Along with his late arrivals, she also noticed subtle changes in EMT's behavior and appearance. He started wearing bright, flashy ties despite having previously preferred darker, more subdued colors. Ashley couldn't shake the feeling that her husband might be having an affair. Many women have a keen sense for uncovering such situations, and Ashley, with her sharp intuition, quickly put the pieces together. Indeed, EMT was having an affair with his assistant, Candy Hall, and their relationship had begun just 2 weeks after Candy started working at the firm. Some might wonder how EMT could get involved with someone over a decade older than him, but office staff noted that Candy was known for her stylish, provocative wardrobe and flirtatious behavior. After their affair started, they often used the office as a private space for their encounters, keeping their relationship a secret from their families. EMT, a father of 5, and Candy, a mother of 2 high school students, managed to keep their spouses in the dark. However, they weren't as discreet at work, and many of the employees and even some clients were aware of what was going on. Despite the rumors swirling at the office, Ashley remained oblivious until one fateful day. Heavily pregnant, she went to a prenatal checkup alone and afterward decided to surprise EMT by visiting him at work. When she arrived, EMT was visibly shocked to see her. Some of the office staff didn't even know their boss had a pregnant wife. Ashley also noticed Candy strutting around the office in over-the-knee boots and a short skirt, commanding attention. When Candy confronted Ashley, she did so with a dismissive attitude that only heightened Ashley's unease. Feeling unsettled, Ashley confronted her husband, asking if he was having an affair with Candy. She reassured herself that EMT would never hurt her or their family, especially not with a woman in her 40s. However, this visit left a lasting impression on her, and for the first time, Ashley felt a deep sense of crisis in her marriage. Looking down at her growing belly, she couldn't shake the feeling of despair. Like many women in troubled marriages, Ashley wanted nothing more than to keep her family intact. She even arranged for couples therapy, but when the day of the appointment came, EMT didn't show up. The date was March 11, 2011. On that morning, Ashley woke up determined not to let herself be emotionally drained or hold on to memories of a marriage that once thrived on love. She decided to surprise EMT with an elaborate dinner, hoping to rekindle their connection. She went to the local grocery store, carefully selecting fresh ingredients to prepare EMT's favorite meal. At this point, their youngest child was only 7 weeks old, and Ashley was juggling the immense responsibility of caring for 5 young children and managing the household on her own. She truly was a superwoman. In addition to preparing the dinner, Ashley took the time to get dressed up, hoping to create a romantic evening where they could discuss their family and, most importantly, how to save their marriage. But EMT didn't come home on time, and the romantic dinner remained untouched. By the time Ashley, exhausted, had finally put the kids to bed, it was nearly 8:40 p.m. When EMT eventually arrived home, he casually mentioned that he had already eaten elsewhere. Instantly, Ashley sensed betrayal. Shortly after, EMT's phone rang, and he stepped into another room to take the call. At the same time, across town, Candy's husband, Robert Dean Hall, was confronting her about the affair he had uncovered between her and EMT. He had gathered enough evidence to confirm his suspicions and began packing up several large boxes, telling her he was preparing to file for divorce. Candy, of course, denied everything, and the situation escalated into a heated argument. Frustrated, she decided to leave for a breather. As she backed her car out of the garage, she dialed EMT's number. It was 8:45 p.m. The call EMT took at home was from Candy, and the two quickly arranged to meet in the parking lot of a nearby Walgreens. What followed soon spiraled out of control shortly after 10 p.m. A car pulled into the Walgreens parking lot and parked near a truck. A woman nearby reportedly heard 2 gunshots, followed by a third. She saw 2 cars with 2 men lying on the ground between them, and a distraught woman shouting for someone to call the police. When the authorities arrived, they found 2 individuals on the ground, EMT, a prominent attorney, and Robert, Candy's husband. EMT had been shot in the head and chest and showed no signs of life, while Robert had suffered a grazing wound to the head but was not in any life-threatening danger. Surveillance footage from Walgreens captured both cars entering and leaving the lot, but it did not clearly show the events leading up to the shooting. The police believed that the only eyewitness to the entire situation was Candy. In her first interview with the police, Candy claimed that after a heated argument with her husband, she had driven to Walgreens alone. After picking up a prescription, she returned to the parking lot where she happened to run into her boss, EMT. The two decided to take a walk, chatting about life and discussing their respective marriages. Upon returning to the lot, they found Robert waiting angrily by his car. The 2 men exchanged words, which quickly escalated into a physical altercation. Candy said that in the midst of the fight, EMT grabbed Robert's gun, prompting Robert to retaliate by shooting EMT in self-defense. Due to Candy's relationship with both men, the police were skeptical of her testimony, doubting it could be entirely impartial. Over time, her statements began to shift. Eventually, Candy admitted to her affair with EMT and revealed that they had agreed to meet at Walgreens that night. The two had driven EMT's car to a nearby gas station to refuel, then parked in a secluded spot for an intimate encounter. Meanwhile, Candy's daughter had spotted her mother's car at the Walgreens lot and, concerned, called the police, reporting that her mother was not inside the vehicle. The daughter entered the store but couldn't find her mother, so she tried calling her. Engrossed in her affair, Candy didn't answer the phone. Frustrated, the daughter then contacted her father, Robert. Upon learning about his wife's suspicious whereabouts, Robert became enraged and called Candy to confront her. However, EMT answered the phone instead. According to Candy, EMT was rude and taunted Robert, threatening to teach him a lesson and telling him to wait. After hanging up, the two returned to the Walgreens parking lot, where EMT exited the car in a fit of rage and attacked Robert. Tragically, this confrontation led to EMT being fatally shot, in what Robert claimed was self-defense. At the crime scene, the police found 3 shell casings. Oddly, the gun was discovered 50 feet away from where the 2 men had fallen. Candy explained that she had moved the gun to prevent further conflict between the 2 men. Meanwhile, Robert's version of events painted EMT as the aggressor. He claimed that when he arrived at Walgreens, he saw his wife standing next to a car, arms crossed, leaning against the door. According to Robert, EMT hurled several insults at him over the phone before the fight broke out. Robert stated that during the physical altercation, EMT got hold of the gun and fired first, forcing Robert to defend himself. Although Robert was taken to the hospital for minor treatment, his injuries were not severe. He told the police that he never intended to harm anyone, but the gun had slipped during the struggle, and he acted in self-defense when EMT fired at him first. The police, however, didn't rely solely on the accounts provided by the couple. After a thorough investigation, they only found gunpowder residue on Robert's hands, indicating that he was the only one who had handled the weapon. Additionally, they discovered several emails in Robert's car that provided concrete evidence of his wife's affair. Shortly thereafter, Robert was arrested on charges of first-degree murder but was released after posting a $1 million bond. The court strictly ordered him to have no contact with Candy, who was considered the only witness to the incident. Despite efforts from their legal firm to keep them apart, Candy and Robert found ways to communicate. Text messages between them continued, and Candy used a colleague's phone to call Robert. One of their conversations reportedly lasted over an hour and a half. For months after being released on bond, Robert was arrested again for violating the terms of his release. His trial was scheduled for 2012. While awaiting trial, in May 2011, Candy was charged with grand theft after her former employer discovered she had embezzled $32,000 from the company. Robert missed his first court appearance, with his legal team claiming he suffered from amnesia caused by the head wound he sustained during the shooting. They argued that Robert no longer remembered the events of that fateful night. Although it was unclear what strategy Robert's defense team hoped to employ, it was evident they were grasping for sympathy to achieve the lightest sentence possible. As a legal professional himself, Robert's attorneys argued that he had been pushed to the brink of madness by jealousy and would not have broken the law otherwise. They even cited a social media post made by EMT prior to his death, in which he lamented seeing people consumed by despair and manipulated by lies. Someone had commented on the post saying, "Such people should be taken seriously." EMT had replied, "Next time they cross me, I'll make a video just for you." The defense team attempted to use this post as evidence of EMT's allegedly aggressive nature. In reality, however, EMT was a man grappling with emotional challenges. When his widow, Ashley, appeared in court, she held a family photo for the couple's 5 children. Losing their father so suddenly was devastating. Ashley recalled the heartbreaking moment when she was informed in the early hours of the morning that her husband had been killed because of another woman. The murder left an indelible mark on her children, who vividly remembered pounding on their father's casket, unable to comprehend that their hero was gone. Ashley spent countless nights comforting them as they cried out in their sleep, tormented by nightmares of evil people chasing them. On October 25, 2012, Robert was convicted of second-degree murder and sentenced to 30 years in prison. He attempted to appeal, but his efforts were unsuccessful. Although Robert offered a heartfelt apology during his sentencing, his wife Candy, who had instigated the entire situation, was never charged. She emerged as a morally compromised figure. On May 14, 2011, EMT's mother posted a close-up photo of Candy on social media, with some speculating it was taken after her arrest for embezzlement. The caption read, "The embodiment of evil." Despite everything, Candy stood by Robert during his trial, expressing her love for him and declaring she had never considered leaving him or their 2 daughters. Candy narrowly avoided punishment in EMT's case but was sentenced to 14 years in prison for embezzlement. She was incarcerated at the end of 2012 but was granted early release on parole just 2 years later. Her parole period will last until 2026. In 2021, 10 years after EMT's death, a popular legal TV show host recreated the dramatic events of that night. Both Candy and Ashley appeared on screen. Ashley, now 41, seemed unburdened by the challenges of life. Her eyes were clear and bright. She had remarried and had 2 more children with her new husband, in addition to the 5 she had with EMT, making her a mother of 7. This calm and devoted homemaker appeared to have achieved her dream. In contrast, Candy, now in her 50s and slightly disheveled, maintained an air of arrogance. She insisted she hadn't ruined EMT's family, claiming that EMT had already distanced himself from them before their affair began. Throughout the interview, the 2 women sat across from one another, but it was clear that Ashley was still deeply affected. She trembled often, torn apart by the memory of the man she had once loved. Becoming a single mother of 5 at 28 had taken its toll, and the hardships she had endured were evident. Despite the adversity, Ashley faced her struggles with a smile. She created a blog titled Our Moments Together, which quickly gained over 1 million views. Since then, she has written several books about her experiences and challenges. She also has her own YouTube channel and Instagram account, where she shares her life and faith, aiming to help others heal from their pain. As an advocate for victims, she often takes the stage to raise her voice for those who have suffered. If you enjoyed the video, then make sure to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out any latest videos.